Alright, hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Chupacabra's lair. I am your host, Larry, and today we're back for another new game called Forager. It's by this group/guy called Hop Frog, and it's a lot of fun. What is it? It's an interesting twist on your typical farming, gathering, and building game, where instead of having like this big world and this farm that you inhabit, you have what I would say is kind of like a pocket dimension where you live in sped up time and you build the world around you. But that probably doesn't mean anything to you yet, because we're gonna have to start playing the game in order to show that to you. So let's just jump in here with a new save inside of my game and see what it's all about. So we start out here on an island in the middle of nowhere with a pickaxe, and that's basically all we have to start out with. We just have to smack trees, shrubs, rocks, and rocks with nuggets of Charleston chew sticking out of it in order to get resources. In this case, this is iron, and then trees are obviously wood, and these little bushes give us food. It's like in a lot of games that are kind of farming-esque, you've got a health bar and you've got an energy bar, and both of them will go down throughout the day. It's just the energy bar tends to go down for just about anything that you do or interact with. But I'm sure you've noticed that we don't really have a house or a cot, and if we open up my inventory, I certainly don't have a sleeping bag. So how exactly does one go about getting their energy back? The simple answer is you just constantly eat. As long as you eat, you are an unstoppable force of eternal destruction, which could also be replaced by a college student in the crunch before finals to get that last paper done. The room is filled with Hostess wrappers. There's a bunch of pizza boxes, empty Monster cans. It basically just looks like a Little Debbie graveyard in there anytime somebody needs a quick jolt of sugar for a snack. Now, the good news is I don't really have to worry about deforestation inside of this game, because everything slowly starts to respawn basically anywhere on the map. If there is a way to stop things from spawning in a given area, I haven't found it yet. But really what our objective is we just want levels, which will allow us to get new stuff that we can build, and we'd like to get additional land to build in, which will come in handy here in a minute. But the first thing I want to do is I want to build myself a furnace, which I can do in the build menu. That's under industrial. And really all you need to do to build stuff, it's rather instant, is you just gotta have the materials made by either smelting things in the furnace or making stuff in the sewing station out of fiber to make like woolen cloth, or, you know, hammering things out on the forge. These are our primary building blocks to start out with. And I think, where should I put this? I guess just here in the center is fine. We've got enough rocks to make as many of those as we want, and we can always move it later by bashing it with our pick. So what can I make with this? I can make coal, which, since we haven't really found any nuggets of coal spawning, we'll have to start making some in order to smelt some steel bars to make an anvil and the start of all of the other machines and fun things that we're gonna need. Just gonna smash down this tree and get our first level with a gigantic explosion that startled the shit out of me to begin with. I thought I had been like exploded by something and killed when I was playing for the first time. And what this allows us to do is we can go into our gear tab where it stores all of our upgrades and things that don't necessarily need to clutter up our inventory. And under skills, every level, we can start into a branching skill tree of different talents. Like we could start out with additional foraging, we could be better at industry, which unlocks steel, unlocks glass, but we don't really need either of those things yet. We could go into foraging, so it'll start making cotton spawn more often, allows you to find wheat and beets, which is always nice. We could start magic, but I didn't really get far enough down this to know what it allows you to do. because the first couple of talents don't really do much but allow you to collect things for unknown reasons, or we could instantly get 40 bucks in order to buy our first island. I think purchasing a new island early isn't a bad thing, certainly. Having wheat spawn wouldn't be bad either. And we don't really need glass or steel yet, that's a little bit of ways away. Let's just start with foraging. Let's not rush ourselves too much. We'll just make our foraging a little bit better, and eventually we'll start to get additional wood and be able to gain 4 additional inventory slots and more experience from doing yard work. Which is always a plus, because we're gonna do this sort of stuff, smashing stuff in our backyard, until the day we die. So you might as well just make peace with the fact that you're going to either end up as a woodworking grandpa, or a grandma that likes to make flower pressings and really intricate designs in the front yard for curb appeal. Grandpa, of course, helps with either, but that's just because he's grandpa. He's awesome. So is grandma. So we're just gonna continue to gather up materials by bashing our yard into pieces, keeping an eye on our little energy bar, which is the green one underneath of our hearts. And hey, it's nighttime, which means that the fireflies come out. You can catch those in little jars. I presume you could potentially leave the jar somewhere as a light source. You can also make torches in this once you get enough coal. And hey, we got our first thing of wheat. Simple answer with a lot of this stuff is there's nothing you can do with it yet. You can just start to gather it like a crazy person who's becoming a bit of a pack rat. So let's go start preparing some other stuff. We're gonna need bricks later, certainly. Let's go ahead and make 5 bricks. And I know for a fact we're going to almost immediately need more furnaces to constantly be producing stuff for us, so I'm just gonna make one. And then we can set this one to make more coal. I can make, what, 9 of these? That's fine. And we're starting to actually get some coal, which I like. Coal is one of those things, it's kind of like wood. For a while you've got too much of it when you're not building something, then you get a couple of talent point unlocks, and suddenly you've got to maul the countryside for every ounce of wood that's ever been created. Like you're in the Industrial Revolution gone wrong. Good news is you can always plant more trees if you absolutely have to, but there's not really a superb need considering that stuff just sort of appears as it wants. Like this berry bush that just splotches out of reality in front of me like it's the Blair Witch. And here we've actually got one of our first beets growing. They kind of look like a cute pixelated clover when they first get started. We've got a fiber plant here, which it's basically cotton. There's nothing fancy about it, it's just cotton by another name. So we can start making some iron ingots. Let's start by making 5 of them or so. Oh, this one just spawned wholesale. These aren't too fancy, you can just eat them. I suspect you can get an item later, or a talent or something that allows you to cook them into something, but I haven't quite gotten that far. I figured if I was gonna do any episodes about this game at all, I might as well do those before I get too crazy far into things. Because once I get invested in a game where I'm like building my own island society like I'm Robinson Crusoe, like I'm gonna be invested for at least a bit. Like, I'll be real honest, like that's a thing. I can't make much gold yet, but that's fine. I probably need more bricks, so we'll get those cooking. And once the gold is done, I will go ahead and start smelting additional trees. I guess trees also occasionally drop oranges or a citrus fruit. You can get saplings out of those later. And hey, we've already got some flowers blooming, which we'll need to make backpacks and stuff. Doesn't make as much sense as one might originally assume, but you know, it's a thing with stuff and existence and craziness. And now that we're another level, I'm actually gonna get that economy skill point. To get some moolah, unlock more of the economy, like storage. And this way I can literally buy myself another island. So you go to buy land, and it's sort of set up so that you have to buy them in a semi-specific order, unless you want to just blitz up and buy the $80 one first. that in order to activate different things, I guess it is sort of random. Previously, there was a giant island with a house on it. But yeah, in this case, we've got these cute little radish dudes to talk to. I wonder if I can eat them. Their flesh does look tantalizing and delicious. So we'll just break a cup. Actually, I need some tree. That way I can build myself a bridge or two in order to come say hi to these guys. Let's go to build. Let's go to farming. Let's build a bridge of friendship and totally not homicidal craziness. Chop down their trees because I need their resources to live. Can I bash you? Oh my god! What? Oh, they start screaming! Oh, that's fantastic! Oh, can I talk to you? You are amazing and we love you. Aw, they're little cute affirmation radishes or turnips or whatever. I wonder what happens if I brutally murder one of the children. Oh boy. Oh boy. I'm gonna talk about it like the guy from Christmas Bride, like the Dread Pirate Roberts. I might kill you tomorrow, Timmy, if you don't behave. Alright, then just like a weird fit of rage came over me. I'm certainly not gonna homicide all of these guys eventually. But if I did, then I wouldn't have neighbors, and I wouldn't have anyone to talk to, and I'd end up drawing a face on a volleyball, calling it Deborah, and then not understanding why people look at me funny when I do, weird scratching of my armpits in public. Oh, Castaway. You delicious classic of a movie, you. Oh, yeah, there's a bunch of stuff over here. Let me see, what kind of food do I have? I got some turnips, might as well, or beets, I should say. I should nom on those. And I could put more coal in to cook. Like, all of it. I don't currently need trees for basically anything except building bridges. I've got 2, and that's probably enough. The rest of this, I'll probably unlock fishing, and that will allow me to get even better sources of delectable food. And in basically any game lately in the last 4 or 5 years, I've been oddly obsessed with the fishing part. Especially in Stardew Valley, because that one's pretty simplistic, and once you get the hang of it, you can just start really early in the game, catching all of the finest, rarest fishies. Alright, that's... I'll probably leave most of these flowers. There's not really a reason to bash them now. And I think I'm actually destroying these cotton plants too early, but that's fine. I don't see you as much. I'm gonna murder your face. Hey, he drops 15 delicious beets. Oh, and slimes are already spawning. In my other game, these little buggers didn't spawn forever. I was already building massive buildings before I was able to upgrade my pick. That's what you need it for. You coat your pick in gross goo, and then you hit people with it, and then I'm guessing they die of some sort of disease. Probably cholera. I mean, this seems like a game that if you were gonna die a slow diarrhea death, it would probably be in this game of cholera. So we'll just go in here and build some more of these. Not really much of a reason to hoard anything at this stage in the game. If you got it, you might as well use it. I suppose they let you murder these guys because they don't really give you a quest. But what they do is they take up space where I might need to build a mansion later. This is basically gonna go the opposite of how the Lorax was supposed to go. Instead of saving the forest, I just pave it over with a parking lot. Well, maybe. Either that or I build a giant treehouse and pretend I'm Tarzan and fly around on vines with my willy out. Either one of these options is completely fine. Who would ever question either of these life decisions? Certainly not me. And certainly not that girl from the dinosaurs show when she had to go across the woods to try to find a sacred flower to change who she was meant to fall in love with because dinosaur pheromones, and it turned out they just paved the whole thing over with a parking lot. Certainly not that either. Why would you ever think such a crazy thing? That would just be silly. Stuff isn't spawning terribly fast. I suppose we should get my next skill point. What have we got here? Skills! For my next trick, I could get more inventory slots, but I'm not really having a problem yet. I could get more experience from building structures. We could also have fairies spawn, and those give additional experience. But I feel like I need more of my foraging skills sooner rather than later, which would not be terrible. We could unlock inscription now, or fishing. Fishing is definitely a must. And we do need to unlock a shovel in order to start planting crops and not just being beholden to Mother Nature's grace. Because as nice as Mother Nature is on the weekend, she is a terrible drunk, and that's where storms come from. At least I'm just assuming. I think Mother Nature's not as nurturing as she wants everyone to believe. That's right, I'm pretty sure she plays Yahtzee on the weekends. Kidding. I like Yahtzee, it's a good game. I do need a bottle, but that's not for a bit yet. This will be a little bit, because I just don't have enough slime spawning for me to homicide. We don't have a chest to open up, because sometimes when we spawn a new island, they have goodies on them. I could just make money out of all 3 of my coins, or my gold, which will get us closer to making another island very quickly. Really, a lot of our stuff is from disjointed skills and upgrades as we level. It makes a kind of basic sense. It's just, you know, you gotta be careful that you read all the descriptions before you make a choice. Otherwise, you could be sitting around farming trees as they slowly grow without much to do and be a tad bored. Which I'm actually surprised. Usually trees spawn by this point so fast that I can't really keep up with them. So I guess some of the factors at play in this game are a bit random every time that you do stuff. So let's continue on my quest to build all the things ever. We need additional wood to build a sewing station. And that will allow us to turn all of this fiber that I've been collecting, or should I say wool, into usable materials. And if you play this game at home, and you find an item like the one that's behind this forge here too far away to pick up, remember that you can always just hover over wherever it is, especially if you're doing stuff at a distance, so that you can pick it up even if it's like, say, over in the ocean. I just figured that out, like, randomly, not really intending to, because I was just like, cool, it seems that everything is collectible even if it's way away from you. And then I noticed that it was because I was hovering it over it with my mouse, like a crazy person, that it all sort of began to make a bit of sense. So I needed a sewing station. You don't really need to keep all of these things together the way that I am. I just do that because it's out of the way and there's plenty of room for everything else to grow. And I don't have a bunch of wasted empty space that's kind of awkward to get around and through. You can do it however you like. In fact, I'm going to put this here so I can still walk back here and be like, haha, I have a back porch. I can look at the blue and I can look at the dolphins get chased by that killer whale who looks hungry. And then I'm going to murder you. Don't you dare touch me right now. I need my flesh to live. I'm needy, I know. These guys are all looking happy and hunky-dory despite the overt homicide of the beat next to them. As far as we know, nobody's been murdered here, ever. Isn't that right, other vegetables? Just gonna kill this in front of you, too. It's a plant, but I feel like it's the right kind of plant that you won't get bothered by it. In fact, let's go set up all of our fiber to craft while I'm thinking of it. And we'll sneak this coal. And for a little bit anyway, that's going to be most of what we can build for structural things. What else are we going to want next? We can build fish traps, which require trees to do tree things. We've got plenty of bushes, or berries from bushes, that we can use to make them. And then fish are just kind of like a passive food source that just happens. Awkwardly, it's how you get other materials that I'm going to need later. and it's kind of just up to chance whether or not you get them from the fish pots. But, you know, that's life out here on the island range. And on that juicy note, and singing home, home on the range. Oh, you can press space to roll. I feel like I didn't cover that, but it's fun to do when you're not thinking about stuff. Home, home on the range, where the beets and the turnips play, where seldom was heard a discouraging slime because I bashed it in the brain. Alright, that's gonna be it for this episode of Forager, everybody. I hope you've enjoyed so far. I'm gonna play a little series of this at least, before I maybe just play through it alone. And I'll catch you next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and if there's a game out there you think would be cool to play, or you think it'd be right up my alley, let me know. I'm always looking for more goodies, and I'll catch you guys and gals next time. Toodles, everybody, and have a good one.